This lady, she got on the internet talk about she got all of this money.
A Reddit post states Coco Crazy has made a video about Stephanie Sue. Stephanie Sue is saving true crime videos. Stephanie Sue uses disgusting titles with her sassy selfies.
We need to talk about how Stephanie Sue is getting to be like a little bit weird and maybe even a little bit like anti-Black.
Stephanie Sue is under a lot of fire right now on TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube. As you guys know, a little while ago, I made a video talking about Stephanie Sue and how she saved true crime. I gave my opinion on how she creates content that actually helps people and really just remains very respectful. And it turns out my opinion wasn't very popular, especially on Reddit, as I got posted on there. So I figured we might as well look through some of those comments and realize other people's perspective on Stephanie Sue, as well as the many videos made on TikTok and YouTube recently. As you guys know, I'm a pretty big Stephanie defender. There's a lot of us out here, so I'm gonna try to remain unbiased in this video, even though I defend her a lot, as you know, and try to look at people's perspective and remain respectful. I ask you to all do that in the comments too. Please remain respectful to everyone featured in this video. Do not go and send them hate. But first, a quick announcement. Due to our good sales in our shirts and t-shirts, we have been able to donate $500 to Mustafa's GoFundMe. Check out a t-shirt, sweatshirt, or cute Coco plushie below, link in description, and you will be able to help Mustafa and his family and be part of the reason why his family is able to have hope during these awful times in Palestine.
He calls himself the Playboy ancestor. This is how he runs his tens of millions of followers on Douyin. He's teaching guys.
I'll make this summary on Stephanie very brief because most of us know who she is. She's a YouTube commentator and podcaster who makes true crime videos as well as videos about celebrity drama. She has two different channels, which I really like that she separates the two because putting them next to each other would just feel kind of disrespectful. So I really like that. She calls her crime channel Rotted Mango. It is incredibly popular. It does insanely well chart-wise, competing with like the top ones in the nation, and overall she's well respected. So it did come as a surprise to me when my video actually got some attention on a YouTube drama subreddit, and it got about 300 upvotes, but there were a lot of comments and they really disagreed with my perspective on Stephanie Sue and they found her problematic. But first we'll look at some videos before we really get into those comments.
When Stephanie said so, stepped on the scene, I was like, ooh, new character unlocked. And I'm not gonna lie, she was entertaining because I called her when she first ever went live. But before I say anything that I'm about to say, remember, you are the one that pay for Gorgeous Doll's subscription so you can find out whether she was talking about you or not. If you would have never came on the internet talking about Gorgeous Doll and trying to defend yourself when she never even said your name, if you would have never did that.
So while most of the videos focus on their arguments against Stephanie Sue's true crime coverage, some people were annoyed with drama she got in on her other channels, such as this YouTuber slash TikToker who was talking about how they were very annoyed with apparently Stephanie Sue lying in the drama and she's the one that started it, which most of us or some of us probably don't really know what's going on. It's just a drama that happened a little bit ago, but apparently some people were very annoyed because they saw Stephanie as the problem creator. Again, not as important as the true crime coverage we're about to get into, but this did set a lot of people off.
I wouldn't even know who you were, so let's proceed. Now, this lady is crazy, bro. She's crazy. This lady, she got on the internet talk about she got all of this money. She makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, like in the span of I don't know how long. She works for a law firm and she's in school to be a lawyer. All of this stuff, right? Same shit that Gorgeous Doll was saying, right? The only difference is she have a couple certificates that backs hers up.
Think of this as like the lighter coverage. This person just kind of personally is angry, probably more of a fan of the other creator. So this one isn't something that would really create a wave of criticism slash hate, but there was a different genre that would kind of create more attention towards that specific topic.
We need to talk about how Stephanie Sue is kind of like getting to be like a little bit weird and maybe even a little bit like anti-Black, especially anti-Black women, in the way that she is covering the Diddy trial right now. So on her videos, like there was one where she's like spinning around outside, like just a girl eating a PB&J, like while hearing like all these horrific things that Diddy did. And Diddy did some pretty horrific things. And I think that just speaks to the larger problem of how society does not care when the abuse is done towards specifically Black women.
We'll look at that clip in a second that did spark a lot of controversy because people saw it as her not taking the situation seriously. And as we know, in the past, Stephanie Sue has, when it came especially towards true crime, she was making mukbangs and it was seen as very insensitive, but she has pretty much changed since then.
This is a very serious trial. There are people who were abused, people who were R-worded, like S-A'd. This trial has some of the deepest, darkest, most horrific parts of people's life that are like being put on display. And I think it's weird for her to go outside of the courtroom and like spin around and I'm just a girl and like do all these little memes about something that traumatized and actually probably brought to the end of a couple of people's lives.
Now, I see this girl's perspective. I'm not going to say it's invalid. I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with this, and I'm not going to like sit here and pretend like she's completely wrong here, because not even specifically talking about Stephanie Sue, we do have a problem on YouTube, especially with other YouTubers, where they just are so insensitive when they talk about crime. And it's really sad to me because a lot of them were originally really good YouTubers. And I'm not going to name drop anyone, but some of you people know who I'm talking about. This one YouTuber who usually just like makes funny, silly videos is now like started recently to make true crime videos. And it's just like their intros are insensitive. They're just like jokey. The titles are insensitive. Like a lot of people that cover true crime do it because it makes money, but they just don't do it well at all. And that's kind of a problem we're seeing. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like her opinion's immediately invalid, because people have a right to express their opinions on what they feel like is disrespectful.
And this is not the first time that I've seen like something weird from Stephanie Sue. I think it's weird that she runs a true crime. I honestly, as someone who I guess would say like, I think crime and like forensics are interesting just maybe from like a medical standpoint, like being a medical student, like I like to hear about like the forensics of it. But to hear the like gruesome details about like what was done to the victims, I find it to be incredibly weird.
I can see why people might see it as weird, because sometimes her titles are kind of like graphic at times and stuff like that. But I do believe that Stephanie Sue truly does care. I know that we've talked about it before on former channels. I could be wrong. I don't know her, obviously. But, like, she does actually do things to help the victims. Like, she will literally have fundraisers. She'll help raise money. Like, there's so many different things she does that shows that, like, she's not just in it solely for the money. Sure, maybe that's just to, like, make herself look good. Who knows? Who knows what her true motive of it is? But what I'm trying to say is, like, she does more than just kind of talk about it. She does more than just like say, oh, this happened, that's my story, thanks guys.
That people really lean into that genre of, you know, podcasts or YouTube videos or whatever. And I think Stephanie Sue specifically, she runs a podcast called The Rotten Mango. She sits down, she eats mukbang, she's kind of like giggling, laughing along, like, I can't even believe this is real, like true crime. And she's like describing like horrific crimes, like ways that people are being unalived horrifically, ways that people are being essayed horrifically.
Not anymore. She did do that once and that was wrong. I fully disagree with that. People criticized her, and rightfully so. She did get harshly criticized for it, but she doesn't do that anymore. Her podcast, she never does mukbangs on it when it talks about crime, because I think she's realized it's pretty insensitive. So I think this point is a little bit more outdated than the rest, but I can see why she'd be mad at the former videos, but she doesn't really do that currently. So I don't know why you'd bring this up when it's kind of like something she did years ago.
And she's doing it in the midst of like, you know, doing ads for like diapers or doing ads for like laundry detergent. And it's just very weird, the commodification of the literal loss of life and trauma that some of these victims go through. And I also think it's weird that she even has access to this case. Like, I know that she's a podcaster, but as far as I've checked her credentials, like, she's not a real journalist. So, like, if you're not a real journalist, why are they letting her in the courtroom?
To really show what she was talking about, let's see the clip quick that has caused quite a lot of controversy, even now. And I know some people are going to be saying, this happened months ago. This video isn't just about the Diddy case, okay? These are fairly recent videos. There's more recent videos surrounding this. But this is kind of what began the recent kind of backlash towards Stephanie Sue.
I just spent 8 hours in a room with Diddy. This is my first time leaving the house in 3 months, and I'm at a federal courthouse in New York City. This is day 2 of jury selection for Diddy's trial, and it was, okay, listen, there's no video cameras allowed, there's nothing. It's not being live streamed, and there's only 3 rows of press that were allowed inside. Listen, the sketch artists are so good, but something about seeing him in person, in the same room, was so intense.
This isn't the only thing she posted out of the courtroom, but I don't think she meant to be like insensitive. I don't think that's what her goal was. I think more of what she was trying to do, she was just really, I think passionate is the word for it. I think she was just really, really kind of I won't even say excited, like she wasn't happy about it, but you know, like that feeling like when you're in a really stressful environment, maybe something like that. Like she's just like kind of like not exactly excited, but you know what word I'm going for. Like she's like really kind of jumpy from the situation, just really wants to share it, and it comes off probably to some people as like enjoying it or like not taking it seriously. But I think she was just really like amped up. Is that the right word?
He would turn around and make eye contact with like each members of the press and just like everyone in the courthouse. And the way that we can describe the way he looks, because there's no pictures allowed, so we don't really know, but the way he looks is, okay, we were having debates about this during lunch, but it's like, you know, koalas when they get fuzzy, like if it's really humid and they have like very fuzzy grayish white hair, he kind of is reminiscent to that. But let me tell you, the way he looks at every single person in that courtroom is the most intense thing ever. I feel like he's challenging people to break eye contact first.
Imagine if you were like one of the few people that witnessed this. Sometimes after something crazy happens, you know how you like run to someone and you say something kind of crazy? Like you say something you wouldn't normally say when something insane happens? I think that's kind of one of these situations, is she just got out of the courtroom and she's just trying to talk about something, but it probably doesn't come off like the exactly perfect way that she probably meant to say it, because she's just so like rushed. She probably feels like a rush in her brain because she just saw someone who has been talked about for years, has done all these insanely awful things. So she's probably just quickly describing how she felt at the moment. It comes off as, oh, you're not taking it seriously. I think she's taking it pretty seriously. It's just one of those things. So in this, I'm probably on her side mostly, but I do respect the person who made that TikTok, because that person did have a controversial opinion, but they expressed it and expressed their feelings.
Your favorite influencer or YouTuber who does mukbang videos and then talks about gruesome deaths of women for like 40 minutes at the same time is not a journalist. Like, I'm sorry, but Stephanie Sue doing that whole just a girl eating a PB&J outside the Diddy trial was extremely tone deaf.
Okay, so I've been seeing on TikTok and on Twitter that some people are upset with Stephanie Sue because she posted a video where she was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and twirling around after being in a courtroom with Diddy for over 8 hours, and no.
Children, full stop. It is deeply insensitive to be doing egg yolk while talking about the Diddy case.
Once again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Stephanie Sue should be off scot-free because she's a very good storyteller. She's very good at narrating things. I'm not going to pretend like she's like should never be criticized ever in her life. No. But like, I feel like it maybe she didn't like mean to be as tone deaf as like some people seem to think she was. I think once again, it's just like one of those situations, 8 hours in a courtroom, she just probably the entire time was like, I really want to talk about this. I really want to talk about this. Sure, I could be wrong, but she probably just got out, filmed the video quickly, trying to describe all the feelings she had that entire time. And it did come off as kind of insensitive.
Okay, so I've been seeing on TikTok and on Twitter that some people are upset with Stephanie Sue because she posted a video where she was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and twirling around after being in a courtroom with Diddy for over 8 hours, and no. Not on my watch. Like, Stephanie Sue is literally the most unproblematic creator I know, and I've been watching her content for over 6 years, and for y'all to try to cancel her over this is ridiculous.
Redditors who responded to my video on Reddit were saying things like there's no such thing as ethical true crime coverage, and that is definitely an opinion you can have. I'm not going to pretend like that's an invalid opinion. I can totally see that perspective, especially if you are a victim of something. It obviously will increase your probably negativity towards these type of things. I totally understand that, but if you compare her to most true crime channels on average, she is a lot more respectful than they are. Like, I've watched a lot, and the only one that I could say kind of comes closer is relatively relatively the same as Mr. Bone. The rest, almost all of them, are insane. Like, some of them will show like graphic images and like some over exaggerated thing in the title, and it's just like, it's awful right now. The state of true crime is awful on YouTube, so it's kind of refreshing to see someone who is at least decently respectful. So I feel like targeting her for something like this is a little bit like, it could be someone a lot worse, doing a lot more disrespectful things.
And I honestly find it so funny when I come across videos and people are like, oh my God, Stephanie, what are you doing? Aren't you a mukbanger? Why are you calling yourself a journalist? You're just trying to use the Diddy case for content and views. It'd be like calling any news or media organization that covers the Diddy case that they're also using it for content and views. Like, Stephanie sat in that courtroom for over 8 hours. She took 79 pages of notes, and she did that for us. Not for herself. No, she did that for us, to keep us informed so that we know what's going on in the Diddy case.
And like, I have never seen someone genuinely put in so much effort to improve themselves from their past. Like, people just will not let her forget. Like, she's moved on. She literally like has a whole different setting when she talks about crime, a whole different channel. She never makes jokes in the intro. Do you know how many YouTubers begin their true crime videos like making jokes? My hair looks great today and stuff. Or on the thumbnails, they're like posing and trying to look like pretty and stuff. Do you know how many like genuinely awful channels there are? Compared to Stephanie Sue, like, they make her look like a literal saint. So here is what Reddit said a while ago. Coco Crazy calls out Haley Elizabeth for creating insensitive crime content in a new video, How Stephanie Sue Saved True Crime Videos. I remember someone making a post calling out Haley earlier this month for dead naming a victim. I've never saw people calling her out before. Maybe I never ran into it, but I'm glad she's talked about now. I used to love watching her videos. I've never known that she did such little research. Did anyone else watch her videos? Here are some of the replies to the video. Stephanie Sue saving true crime videos, sarcastic question mark. 400 likes. Yeah, people forgot laughing my butt off. Hey, that's actually something called redemption. You know that people are able to redeem themselves, right? Yes, she did make awful content in the past. I swear, something I hate about the internet is like, sometimes people selectively forget about things that genuinely problematic people do and let them keep their career. But when someone actually improves and does better and like fixes their problems, people never move on. It's like, girl, that's in the past. Can we move on? Oh, people forgot. No, we didn't forget. We realized that she's a human and she makes mistakes. Another reply says, oh, look, two terrible people are fighting. And I don't know if they mean me and Haley Elizabeth, which we aren't fighting because I like just criticized her. And I mean, she obviously didn't respond. I wouldn't respond if I were her. And maybe they mean Stephanie and that Haley. Like, I don't know what they mean. Maybe they likely mean me because they probably see me as a slop channel, which I mean, you can think what you think, but I'm just so confused because for fighting to happen, people have to go back and forth. And I just said Haley's insensitive. And that was that. Another one says, Haley Elizabeth is one of the same insensitive true crime YouTubers like Stephanie Sue who use disgusting, sensational titles with their sassy self-worth plastered in the middle of the thumbnail. They're both awful and think true crime is a quick hobby rather than someone's traumatic event. I don't know how much I agree with this. I mean, I don't think she puts her face there to, like, make a quick selfie. I think it's just so you know it's her video, like commentary channels do, which I mean, that's definitely debatable, but it's better than those have these people like seen true crime state recently? And I do agree that like true crime is something that like 99%, I'm gonna be so for real, 99% of people that cover true crime are not doing it right, and they're not doing it because they actually care. They're doing it for money, attention, and they know it will get views, all that stuff. But I genuinely think Stephanie Sue, out of all of them, has pretty much redeemed herself, but I guess some people just don't forget.
No, arrest her now! It's good. Somebody killed that baby! No!
Heather and Jesse, the sisters, they already have an idea of what happened to baby Benson, and they're ready to share it with the investigators. They are certain that the babysitter did this. I mean, it has to be the babysitter.
I believe that the right way to probably handle true crime is to just be really, 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 really respectful, not mention personal beliefs. And I know that Stephanie Sue does sometimes get kind of personal with some of this stuff, and at times I will admit that is something I will criticize towards her. I don't really like when she kind of gives her personal beliefs in it. I don't know how to explain it, but if you watch her for a long time, you probably know what I mean, just because that kind of messes with it, if you know what I mean. And once again, no hate towards her. I do enjoy her content, but sometimes I wish she could kind of make it a little bit like Mr. Ballin, where it's a little bit less subjective. This example I could think of is I remember listening to one about this evil dude that like paid for submarines and things to be built, and he took this one lady in the submarine and ended her life. And the thing that really just made me kind of like annoyed watching it or listening to it was how she like spent most of the time kind of complaining about how he was just like paying for submarines to be made, so he wasn't actually inventing anything. And I totally hate the guy. I hate the guy so much. But what I'm trying to say is like, she always makes her opinion very, very subjective at times. And I'm once again saying this with like all the love in the world. This is simply criticism. That like sometimes it feels like artificial. Like when she's talking about the victims, and sometimes when she's saying things like, they were so good at this and this, it's like, would you be saying that if they were the person ending people's lives, if you know what I mean? Like when you just add that much opinion, it doesn't feel as natural. Once again, do not take this as hate. What I'm trying to say is that, of course, she isn't perfect today, but she has improved a lot. Let's get into some of the other videos critiquing her.
Many content creators, like Stephanie So, had an opportunity to be present and cover the entire trial. And somewhere amongst the mix, somehow Backlash removed itself from Diddy and somehow got aimed at Stephanie So. And specifically, viewers were upset at some TikToks that she made, some comments she made in the TikToks, and the way she went about covering the entire trial.
Another reason I think people were already just like ready to get mad about her coverage was because she has had a past, which once again, like, that's her past, and obviously most of us have put it in her past, but where she made problematic videos, where she would do mukbangs, where she would just be rude and kind of just insensitive. Insensitive is kind of an understatement for what her old videos were, just very, very rude, but she's moved on past then, so it does kind of logically make sense that people would be ready to be mad at her because a lot of them has seen her as that same YouTuber.
Unpopular opinion, I hate true crime and scary movies. Like, whenever my friends ask to be like, oh, like, let's watch a scary movie, I physically cannot do it. And I feel like the reason why is because it is so bad for my nervous system and my anxiety. Like, why would I sit there and actively, like, choose to get, like, scared and, like, anxious? Don't get me wrong, I've watched The Shining, The Conjuring, like, a lot of classical, like, horror films because you can't live life without watching a Stanley Kubrick film. But if I had a choice, it would to be never to watch horror movies ever again. And also, I just don't think true crime is entertaining because half of the times it's like violence, really harsh violence against women.
I can definitely understand. This woman wasn't directly attacking Stephanie. Don't take it as that way. This one just popped up when I was looking into videos that were really kind of blowing up talking about Stephanie and why they didn't like her. It was kind of with the rest, even though she didn't specifically say Stephanie. So this one's a little bit less relevant to specifically Stephanie, but really what she's trying to say in this video, and I do agree with this, is that you should not, especially when you're watching true crime, get enjoyment off of hearing about specifically women, specifically any group, a group of, especially oppressed group, getting murdered brutally. And sometimes I feel like certain unlikable people in society kind of enjoy that for some reason, and that can be an audience for true crime.
So I don't understand how people can just watch it, like listen to the podcast of literally people getting like murdered and like while they're working out or like just going about their day. Like, I cannot do that. I don't know, call me a scaredy cat, but I am a huge hater of scary movies and true crime.
I do believe that people should just remain as respectful as possible, and it's really definitely a debatable thing, and let me know what you think of the comments. This is not for, like, specifically engagement, it's more because I'm curious what people think of this. Do you think it is okay for true crime podcasts and true crime YouTubers to go into detail about what happened to the victim, to, like, show the pain they went through, or should they kind of dumb it down in a way out of respect? Like, which one is better, do you think? I personally think it depends on the situation, because at some perspectives, I can see, like, if I were brutally, you know what, I maybe wouldn't want every little detail, but at the same time, maybe you don't want to dumb down so people don't know what you went through, you know? It's just like, she was then murdered, and it's like, oh, well, I went through a lot of, like, suffering, you know? Like, so I can kind of see both sides of the situation.
For you page today, I saw a video of someone giving information about a little girl in Korea. Her name is Hanul. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly. Hanul's 8 years old. I read how her dad said she loves the group IVE and absolutely adores Wonyoung, collects all her photo cards, will watch everything about her, even said how she wants to be like her when she grows up. Also saw a picture of her, cutest little girl, smile just full of joy, right? But unfortunately yesterday, or probably 2 days ago now, she was her own teacher while she was at school. And I just want you to sit and guess at what that comment section looked like. One would think that when someone dies, murdered at that, you know, they didn't die of old age. It wasn't natural causes. They died because another person, a monster, thought that they had the right to take their life away from them, that they had the right to cut their life short. You would think that someone who is murdered, let alone a child, there would be some empathy.
I'm not surprised that people lack empathy. I just feel like it is definitely something, and I don't want to sound like that, like your grandma, like complaining about the internet, but like, I think that has something to do with the internet because it's so easy to hear about the most awful, horrific thing happening to like a kid that you just hear about this stuff so much. And it seems like it's happened to so many different people and stuff that it just becomes like you just don't react the same, you know, like because you don't. I just feel like this is something that's become more and more common is people just don't really have empathy. Like people just don't really care. It's like kind of emotionless. Like I feel like the internet is kind of emotionless sometimes.
I would just assume that when you see a post talking about a child who was murdered, the comment section would be full of, oh my gosh, sending my love and prayers to the family, sending my condolences. No parent should ever have to experience this. That child had their whole future ahead of them. This is absolutely tragic. I pray the family gets the justice that they deserve, right? But no, you want to know what the comment section was full of though? Stephanie Sue, Stephanie, we need Rotten Mango on this.
That is disgusting, but it isn't surprising. And this is not Stephanie Sue's fault, but when true crime is created as like a way to just like watch it, if you know what I mean. I don't even want to say entertainment because you shouldn't get like enjoyment off of doing it. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's not surprising that people kind of view it as like a show more than they view it as like human beings. And once again, this is not all for viewers. A lot of the people or viewers genuinely care and stuff, but there's always going to be that group because she has such a massive following that just view it as like a TV show. Like it's unreal to them. It's not like an actual person. It's like, I'm just turning on my favorite show today.
This is just one of the many comments talking about Stephanie Sue under that video. I'm showing this one because it actually pissed me off the most. What is wrong with you people? Like genuinely. That comment section just reminded me of a TikTok I saw about a year ago that I think a lot of you crime lovers should think about before you make disgusting comments like this. Basically, the TikTok said something along the lines of me scrolling down my For You page and watching a TikToker do a get ready with me while casually telling a story about how my little brother was brutally murdered. I need y'all to really sit under.
Once again, like, that's why I think that people should give Stephanie Sue a little bit more, like, love rather than hate, because she at least covers it in a much more respectable manner or respectful manner, at least currently, than anyone else seems to be doing. Because once again, like, I'm always seeing these TikToks, like this girl said, of people just scrolling, like, people just get ready with me or eating a mukbang while they're talking about it. And it's just like, I mean, no one really cares because it's the internet and the craziest stuff happen every day. But like, at the end of the day, that's someone's brother, that's someone's sister that you're just like making content out of and like not even putting an effort to talk about. Like, there's no passion. You're just doing it for some views. You're not handling it well. Like, if you're not going to handle it respectfully, then find something else to talk about. Talk about drama or something that is not very serious. Do not cover something so serious if you're too lazy to actually cover it properly.
There's not many types of content that I dislike, but that type for sure, I can definitely say with my whole chest, I hate it. I'm not saying that these creators need to be crying and throwing up while they tell these stories, but something about seeing... All right, guys, do I make it with me while I tell you guys about the story of this 12-year-old girl who was trapped in different men and then dismembered? What are we doing? I don't know what y'all's parents did or did not teach you, but body language and tone is everything. Hold that piece of advice with you throughout life. This is no shade to Stephanie Sue. I don't watch her content, but her fan base, y'all need to tighten up. This doesn't only apply to her fan base. This is for everyone who consumes this type of content. I don't think learning about stuff like this is bad. I actually think it's very important to be aware of this stuff, but how you talk about it and how you learn about it, very important, because a lot of you are desensitized and don't even realize it.
I have also seen some really tragic situations and tragic deaths of people, and in the comment sections, Rotten Mango needs to cover this. I've seen this. I'm not going to lie. There are lots of people in her fan base that are not exactly the best people alive. Once again, that she can't control them. I mean, she's being about as respectful from what I've watched as you can be. Like, once again, like, she's pretty dang respectful to the victims. But what I'm trying to say is people, once again, like, exactly like what this TikToker said, like, they're so desensitized from like scrolling through their For You page and hearing about the most horrific events that they don't even realize how insensitive they're being. Like, genuinely, it's hard to imagine what it's like being related or being friends or being married to someone who dies in a very awful, tragic way, and then hearing people talk about it in the most insensitive way. But like any situation where someone died or something happened to someone in a tragic way, and then you hear someone uneducated talking about it, that's kind of what it must feel like. Because I can't say I've had someone around me murdered or any of that happened to them in the worst possible way. I can't say that because that hasn't happened to me, but I can understand for sure how awful it must feel to some extent to hear people who have no idea what you've gone through just be like, get ready with me while I talk about the violent grape situation of a 12-year-old girl who was then pew-pewed and then dumped into a trash can and then carried away. Like, I don't even want to think about how horrible that would be to have some, like, imagine your sister and then you just hear some pathetic person talking like that. Like, I can't even imagine the pain. So I fully agree with this girl. I think this take is great because, once again, people take it really personally. They're like, I'm just listening to Rotten Mango, you jerk. No, it's not really Rotten Mango. It's not the podcast's fault. It's more of just people that have been desensitized.
I've seen videos before of people trying to speak on how a lot of consumers of this content are desensitized towards it. And of course, they're in the comment section, no, we're not. No, we're not. Like I said before, I'm not saying that when you watch these videos, you need to be crying and throwing up. No, but I will say actions speak louder than words. But in y'all's case, the actions and words are loudest. One thing I hate is having to make up scenarios for people to have some empathy. But bro, imagine if it was your mom, your dad, one of your siblings, your best friend who went through something absolutely traumatic, and you have a bunch of randoms on the internet saying how they can't wait till some YouTuber talks about it as if it's tea. Imagine scrolling on your For You page and seeing a damn TikToker doing a get ready with me, a makeup tutorial, a mukbang, just casually speaking about how someone close to you, someone that you know personally went through a traumatic experience as if it's just some book. You wouldn't like that. You would be furious, and rightfully so.
And the worst, and once again, this is not Stephanie Sue's fault at all, or Mr. Ballin, or any of the people, unless they actively encourage it, which they don't. I've watched them both. But the people that go in the comment sections, and unless it's plainly obvious, they just, why didn't the dad do more? Why didn't the mom see more? Like, they pretend like if they were in the same situation, they know exactly what to do, and that this awful death is on this person. Like, it's kind of disgusting because unless that person genuinely did something terrible, I've seen this so much, the victim blaming, people that are likely victims in the situation get blamed for not doing enough, and it's like, you weren't in this situation. How dare you disrespect these people that you don't even know? Stop acting like this is a drama. Like, it's a real life scenario, and what you're saying is so disgusting. And I see this so often, so normalized to act like these people would somehow have taken the better, who somehow would have known what was going on. It's like, okay, it just annoys me so much.
Keep that same energy when it comes to these victims, whether they're dead or alive. Watch how you talk about them. You should not be rejoicing because another person went through something so tragic, something so horrible that you couldn't even bring yourself to wish it on the worst person you know. You shouldn't be happy that someone went through that because you'll finally have something to watch while you eat. You'll finally have some background noise while you cook or clean. I feel like when it comes to these tragic cases, a great way to not be desensitized towards it is to do your own research. The amount of times I've seen someone post literal articles about a tragic case in the comment sections full of, oh my gosh, I can't wait till my fave talks about this. I can't wait till such and such makes a video about this. I need that video. That's funny. I had no idea they were a lawyer on this case. I didn't know they were a detective on the scene. Why are you waiting for them? These cases y'all be so happy for are public information. These court documents, public information. A lot of times families of the victim or the victim themselves, if you know they're still alive and consent to it, do interviews. Go read them.
So that's where this video ended, and once again, I think this TikToker literally stated it perfectly. Like, once again, it's not always the person, at least currently, it's more of the audience, and it just is going to be an increasing problem for sure in the future because it's just like the endless scrolling on your For You page and hearing about just the most terrible things that, like, sometimes it's hard to even fathom how this could happen. And especially if it's never happened or something like it has never happened to you, it's easy to just treat it like it's some sort of TV show, but at the end of the day, it's not. Like, there's real people involved. And like she said, they're likely alive. They're very, very likely alive, or people at least related to them are likely alive. So just be a little bit respectful. It's not that hard.
So basically what I'm getting from all this online drama and all this crap is that y'all would rather cancel Stephanie Sue, who's unproblematic, than James Charles. Y'all would rather try to run her off the internet than run James Charles off the face of the earth. I don't know how you got racism from her twirling around the courthouse, eating a mushy PB&J sandwich and saying that she just finished taking notes on an 8-hour trial and she might be back for more. And on top of that, y'all are on Twitter defending Diddy. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Y'all did the same shit. Kelly and Aaliyah. Y'all defended R. Kelly when someone said something small about that man.
Is this a safe space to say I hate Twitter? I just hate it so much because there's no room for actual discussions. They'll just take some out of context screenshot of someone and then just say like, this person is so blah blah blah, and then it'll get 17 million views and then their reputation is destroyed. A similar thing happened with Stephanie Sue. I wouldn't say it destroyed her reputation, but it did cause a lot of the hate she got specifically for the case. I hate it so much. Like, genuinely, the people that constantly tweet stuff like this annoy me so much because it's like the number one way to spread misinformation. Like, I know there's community notes, but half the time they aren't even like made. Like, half the time there's something blatantly false and they are not applied. And it's just, oh, I hate that app.
What the hell is wrong with y'all? Do y'all take showers? Do you go outside? Like, some of y'all are just chronically online that I can tell that you smell like 10 cans of bust ass. Because there is no reason for you to try to cancel Stephanie Sue because she said that 60-second clip. And the only thing she did was compare him to a koala. And Diddy looks like a koala. I don't know what y'all talking about. That's not racism. He looks like a his hair is literally gray. She compared his hair to a koala. And y'all said that she was being disrespectful to the victims, but the victims weren't even in the courtroom. They don't testify until 2 days after or a day after.
That's Twitter for you, for sure. Like, that's kind of Twitter. I mean, to some extent, once again, I can see why people are paranoid. I'm not defending all the Twitter warriors. I hate every last one. I hate all of you people that run Twitter accounts dedicated to just screenshotting people out of context. But I can see, like, the girl we watched earlier, like, her take wasn't the worst thing ever. I can definitely see her perspective, but I do disagree with it and the people on Twitter, mainly because, once again, like, it was probably just like, wow, I've seen this incredibly infamous dude that, like, everyone's been talking about for years. I just saw him for 8 hours. I was taking notes. Like, she probably wanted to share so much, and she did it super quickly that it made her seem just so excited, and, like, it just made her seem like she wasn't handling it the way she should have. That's what I think. I definitely don't think she was at least trying to be any form of disrespectful. It was just, that's the way she narrates. She narrates stuff like that, and I guess a really short clip is going to cause people to get mad, but she narrates like that. It's not to be disrespectful. It's just like her style of narration.
It's where is Stephanie So? From Rotten Mangoes, this is serious. Her fans are worried from her. She has not updated her page in 8 days. Somebody said that she updated her Spotify podcast, but a lot of her fans are worried about her. As I reported, I talked to one of Diddy's good friends about, did Diddy mouth to Stephanie, I know you? Maybe he just said something like, I like soju. I don't know, but she thought something was going on, but her fans are worried. And I am frankly worried too, because I have seen some of the other Rotten Mango ladies in there. I believe a woman named Tiffany that I've met. By the way, they all dress to the T's. They look good. They always have like the top designer stuff on every morning.
I don't know what this dude is talking about in the last few seconds that we just saw, but I wanted to add on his narration of her getting threatened or supposedly getting threatened in court because I thought it was an important detail. If this really did happen and she is kind of getting threatened by Diddy in court and stuff, it just kind of shows that, like, maybe she's in it, hot take guys, maybe she's in it for a little bit more than just clout and money. Like, Twitter has made it out to be. Like, genuinely, like, once again, like, sure, it will get a lot of views to be in court, and it kind of is, like, a special opportunity, and most people would have taken it, but then again, like, she took a ton of notes. She definitely did her research, and her team did their research like they do with most cases, where they actually do a bunch of the time reach out to the victims and stuff, and I do believe that she was definitely in it, and she was in it in the right way.
John Combs sits down at his chair and he turns in his chair to the right. This is our eye direction, like we can see him now. He starts staring in what felt like in our general direction or perhaps right behind us, and it's a pretty lengthy stare. And then he starts nodding while mouthing the words dramatically, I know you. He mouths it twice with what we perceive to be a smirk. Then as he's turning back around to face the front, he's like ever so slightly shaking his head while he's still smirking. But again, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I don't know if he was looking at me. He could have been looking behind me, right? But then right at that moment, the jury comes in, we all stand up, and as there's noise in the courtroom, because we're not allowed to talk when the judge is on the bench, a reporter from a major media network, I mean, she's been doing this for years and years. She's like a professional. She turns to me and she she whispers, quote, "You're putting that in your video, right? Because that was at least 7 seconds." So my researcher and I, we both felt it was weird. We both wrote it down independently in our notes in the courtroom. We talked about it after, and we're like, you know what? We can't be sure. We don't want to be dramatic.
I feel like people kind of moved on from this specific situation a little bit too quickly, because this is kind of crazy. But what I'm trying to say is, like, whether we like it or not in society, there's always going to be true crime content, mainly because it does get a lot of views. Like, it's something people are interested in listening to, and not always for the best reasons, but sometimes people just want to be informed for safety reasons, or just in general be informed about situations and awful things that took place. So it's better to at least realize who the people that seem to be in it and seem to do it respectfully and well researched. It seems like we should not shove those people down, because, I mean, they're the best people we've got for this.
And then it happened again, you guys. He looked in her direction again and mouthed, "I know you."
And it happens again on Friday, a week later. So on Friday, there's this moment where there's a sidebar. Sean Combs' attorneys are near the front of the courtroom with the judge. And regardless, the jurors are still sitting on the side. Sean Combs turns around and then he talks to his mom. And then he's smiling, nodding at her. He's like mouthing, "I love you." And then my neck is tilted still because I'm observing him and I'm taking notes about him talking to his mom during this sidebar. And as he's making his turn back to the front, it felt like we make awkward eye contact. And I say awkward to the point where I'm like, you know when it's so awkward, you almost like instinctively smile or look down because you're like, oh, I just got caught staring at someone. That was the feeling. It was like, oh, I literally just got caught staring him down. And he starts rubbing his chin with his left hand and mouths what appears to seem like, "I know you. I know you." And this time it seemed more pronounced because as he's rubbing his chin with his left hand, he does like a slight index point. It's not like a point. He's not pointing his finger, but it's kind of like a hand gesture, like, "I know you," like kind of like you.
People were getting freaked out for Stephanie. I mean, especially because it wasn't even just her that had seemed to see this or pick up on this. It was her team as well, right?
And Stephanie is willing to take risks with her videos. I feel like this, I mean, it's not much of an understatement to say she's kind of taking a risk talking about this after that happened twice. But I don't even feel like I need to name the specific topics, but if you watch her, you know what I mean. Like, she sometimes covers stuff that it's like, ooh, I'd be a little bit scared to cover those topics. Those are some scary people. That's a scary group. It's like, sometimes it's kind of like, dang, like she's willing to take some risks for her content. And if you're just in it for the money, you do basically no research usually. You're very disrespectful, and I feel like you don't even need to name the commentators and TikTokers that do that, because most of us know by now. Like, I remember watching some TikToker dude he likes to cover a lot of like random awful things that happen to people, and he was liking comments basically supporting the death because this guy was like allegedly a Democrat or something, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not watching you anymore. And yeah, it's just going to become a growing problem, and we're going to have to face it that this content's always going to exist. Sure, I can 100% understand, like, I'm not going to pretend like the Redditors had no right under my video to say there's no such thing as ethical true crime. I can totally understand that perspective. Like 100%, you 150% have a right to have that opinion. But in my opinion, like, it's always going to exist. So why focus your hate on the person that does it much better than the majority of people do it?
They drag Camellia out of the car, throw her onto the floor, and they make the next 5 hours a living hell. They throw ice cream on the ground. Clean it up. Use your hands. If she misses a spot, a high-heeled shoe would lift up from the ground and smash into her rib. One of the high schoolers took Camellia's phone and started smashing it into pieces in front of her on the ground, stomping her heels into it. Another girl kicked her in the back of the knees so that she was kneeling in front of them. And Helen laughed. But of course, in the beginning, Helen didn't even lift a finger. She just stood there, arms folded across her chest, literally like Queen of the Flies.
And if you think my videos are unprofessional, I've heard, and like definition of slop and stuff, that's okay. You can think that, but I cover drama. If I were to start covering true crime, which I've always considered, but I haven't yet, and I don't know if I ever will, because I don't know if I would be as good of a research as like other bigger commentators, and I just don't want the guilt of messing up some fact or just saying something stupid. I feel like you just have to be a really, really, really good researcher, and you have to be super, super respectful, and I just don't know if I would be ready for that. So as you can see with this video specifically, like the detail, you don't feel like you're watching a drama video. Like with me, it's okay that I sometimes talk randomly and I say some random things and it's not like 100% perfectly edited. It's okay because I'm covering drama slop, like I'm covering random situations and dramas between YouTubers. But when you're covering the bully, someone who got bullied or someone that had the worst thing happen to them, you can't make those mistakes. Like, to your millions and millions of audience members, you just cannot afford to make those type of mistakes. And that's what makes her so good. That is exactly why it is so problematic when so many YouTubers that make perfectly fine or even great drama YouTube videos step into true crime because they see it as profitable. That's why it's become such a problem, because they don't know how to handle the situations with respect. Like, dare I say her name, this one huge YouTuber, which I mentioned earlier in this video, has started to make true crime videos, and she just cannot do it correctly. She will just joke for 3 minutes about her hair and about how she's feeling. How are you doing, my audience, and stuff, and it's just like, this is not how you handle true crime. And it's just terrible. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, there's even the girl I talked about last video, like, one of the reasons why she was so bad at handling it was because she didn't research well, because she was what she was used to was covering drama videos. Like, it's okay to start out doing drama, or Stephanie Sue do drama on the side, but you need to handle true crime completely differently, because it is something that is much more serious. Like, it is literal. There are families, there are people, you have to handle it so much differently. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the situations I cover are very serious, but it's just a different level of seriousness when it's true crime. And I remember someone, because I criticized some girl in the last video about Stephanie Sue, not Stephanie Sue, it was some other girl at the beginning. I remember one of my comments was, well, you couldn't make true crime, so stop complaining about it. And I replied, exactly. That's why I'm not making it, because I know, right, and maybe in the future when I have time to research and actually be respectful, maybe I will consider it. Who knows? But it would take so much time, because I just do not want to do it wrong. It would make me so sad if I got some fact wrong or misgendered someone or did something awful when I covered it, which so many people do. I was like, exactly. Like, there's a reason why I'm not covering it, especially right now, because I don't want to disrespect families. I don't want to disrespect the victim. Like, thanks for proving my point, I guess. And the worst part is you really can't do anything about it. Like, if you know someone who fell victim to something absolutely awful and you just hear people profiting off of it in the worst possible way, like, what do you even do about it? Like, you just have to sit back and watch people use your brother, use your sister, use your dad, use their mom for just, like, views and not care about it. That must just, in words, I can't describe how awful that was feeling. And once again, the victim blaming that is done, like, the sister should have done more. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, it's definitely a messy place, so I hope it gets better, especially the audiences and stuff. So I'm not going to lie, like, some of these criticisms were valid, but my point to summarize this video, pretty much to get to the bottom of it is that, like, it's not going away. I can understand if you don't like it, it's not going away, but some people are doing a lot better jobs than others, like Stephanie Sue, so it's best to try to criticize the people that actually deserve it, more than the person who has improved herself, and not hold her to her mistakes in the past, which she has fully improved from.